NBC 15 News at 11 starts now.
Now at 11, authorities are trying to piece together what led to the killing of one man in an officer-involved shooting in Monroe.
Plus, a garage fire and explosion in Sun Prairie. Officials on the scene trying to determine the cause.
And sightings continue of that possible lion on the loose in Milwaukee. Hello and good morning. Our big story at 11. 2 men are dead following an officer-involved shooting and homicide in Monroe. Police were called to a trailer just after 7 last night on 17th Street. They found one man shot to death, another seriously injured. 20 minutes later, police received another call of a man covered in blood with a handgun. This was on the 1000 block of 12th Street. That's where the suspect allegedly then pointed a gun at deputies, and he was shot. NBC 15's Ashley Matthews was in Monroe all morning and joins us now with the very latest on the investigation.
2 very active crime scenes in Monroe. The Monroe Police Department fronting the homicide investigation at the trailer park. The Wisconsin Department of Justice called in to investigate the officer-involved shooting. According to the Monroe Police Chief, the officer-involved shooting happened behind this home. The shooting suspect was allegedly hiding in some bushes, and when confronted by Greene County Sheriff's deputies to put down the gun, he refused and pointed it at the deputies.
There were people that were outside in the yard there, and neighbors, obviously. And then, of course, one of our officers was close enough to be able to have seen the shooting. He wasn't actually a shooter, but he was there close enough, so he was a witness.
Monroe police are also interviewing witnesses in the trailer park and determining if one witness was inside the trailer when the shootings happened. They do know at this time those shootings started from an argument between the men. The names of the suspect and the victims are not being released at this time because police are still trying to identify one of them and notify family members who live out of the country. The police chief said the men involved lived in Monroe but were most likely not U.S. citizens. Our crews are out gathering more information on this story today. We'll bring you the latest on our evening newscasts and our website, NBC15.com.
Ashley, thanks. Crews are investigating a garage fire and explosion in Sun Prairie today. It was reported around 6:30 this morning on the 4000 block of Anderson Road near Token Creek Park. When crews arrived, smoke and flames were shooting through the roof of the garage. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
All the residents had gotten out. The neighbor came over and warned them. We got on the scene with the first 2 engines and extinguished the garage, and then we went into the rest of the house, and pretty much half of the house is gone. The rest is okay.
Fire officials say the explosion likely happened when the fire reached gas cans and a propane tank. No word yet on what exactly started that fire.
We may learn more information today about the murder-attempted suicide case at Token Creek Park. Results of yesterday's autopsy are expected to be released. The suspect in the case, 47-year-old Theodore Peterson, remains in the hospital in critical condition. He has been tentatively charged with homicide in the death of his 16-year-old son. Those who knew Peterson are in shock.
He seemed like a real stand-up guy. He was really cool. Him and his wife, they were just really kind people. He was a real stand-up guy. He just didn't seem like, that would be something that, he would be capable of.
We also learned from a neighbor of the family that the 16-year-old victim had special needs.
The body of a missing swimmer has been recovered from a lake in Walworth County. Police were notified of a missing swimmer in Delavan Lake around 11 last night. Friends of a 49-year-old man told police he had been out on the lake and went overboard. Well, the man was visiting, apparently from out of state. Meantime, in Door County, a body found near Ephraim appears to be that of that missing Fox Valley doctor. Dr. Jeffrey Whiteside of Grand Chute had been missing for about 3 weeks. Now, the Door County medical examiner will confirm the identity after an autopsy today.
This is your Weather Authority forecast.
Warming up nicely as we approach the noontime hour here in southern Wisconsin, already into the 80s in some locations, including down in Janesville at 81. It's also 81 in Montello and Camp Douglas. Much of the rest of the area hanging out around 79, and that is the current temperature in Madison. Nothing to worry about on Sky Tracker HD. In fact, mainly sunny skies right now. There will be a few puffy cumulus clouds as we head into the afternoon, but a lot more sunshine than we saw yesterday, and that should help temperatures be a little bit warmer than we saw yesterday. Sunday. We'll look for highs into the middle 80s, it looks like, as we work into the evening hours, right around 84, 85. By 6 o'clock, back down to 83 degrees. Looks like one more day of some nice weather before some rain chances return as we work into the weekend. I'll have those details coming up in a few minutes. Guys?
Brian, thank you. Happening today, a Beloit man who pleaded guilty to killing his father with a hammer will be sentenced. Peter Hemme was scheduled to be sentenced in April, but instead, his team requested a competency exam. Hemme killed his father during an argument in August of last year. Prosecutors say he was upset because his parents were moving and he would have no place to live. Also today, a state prosecutor is expected to announce results of an investigation into a shootout that killed a state trooper back in March. State Trooper Trevor Casper died in a confrontation with serial bank robber Stephen Snyder in Wazaki. Snyder was also suspected of killing another man before the shootout. Snyder died from gunshot wounds.
We now know who was behind the legislation that would have severely limited open government in Wisconsin. Documents show Republican State Assembly Speaker Robin Boss drafted a bill that would have made it more difficult for the public to monitor our politicians. Officials earlier, if you recall, refused to say who inserted the bill into the state budget at the last minute. The bill, as you may remember, was pulled after it caused an uproar by the media, both conservative and liberal, and supporters of open government. Governor Scott Walker is in San Diego today speaking at a conservative gathering. The American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC, promotes legislation for state lawmakers on a range of business-friendly issues, including right-to-work measures, which prohibit companies and unions from requiring employees be union members. Meantime, one union is distancing itself from Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump. He's visiting the Texas-Mexico border today, his first visit since making remarks about illegal immigrants being criminals and rapists. Well, the union that represents Border Patrol agents decided just this morning to pull out of the visit. Now, with controversy swirling within his party, the Republican Party, Trump this morning announced he may consider continuing his campaign as a third-party candidate.
The Lion Watch in Milwaukee continues after video appeared to show a large feline walking through a neighborhood. And last night, this white pit bull was shot by a neighbor who thought it was the lion. The dog is recovering from a wound to its leg and paw at a local animal shelter. Authorities are warning residents not to try and approach or capture the animal.
I don't think anybody has any reason to panic, and I think people should just use their regular level of caution. Nobody should be leaving children or animals outside unattended ever.
Residents are being asked to call 911 if they think they spot the animal.